We are live. It is Blasted or Stash It time. Me, Huey, the Comic Caps Watch, and Poke and Joe talking about the books that came out November. Is it the 3rd? No, 13th. Yes, it was the ones that come out the 13th. So it's the first time catching our show. What we do is reread all the books that come out the week. We give them a good read. We blast them or we stash them. It's a keeper or a turd or a dunker, whatever you want to call it. Before we get jumping into it, Joe, do you know how we can support our channel?
Well, you can send me a lot of money and I'll do very good things with it. Or you can join our Patreon where $1 we will make you holler. We'll put you in an entry for a great book at our beautiful Patreon site. Or you could give more and probably have more chances. You need to argue with the how do you do this? The boss on that one. Yeah. And of course, always your likes, subscribes, and comments are always greatly appreciated. You can jump on with that as well. But our Patreon, that hot book that he just flashed up there, that's the book to get. You know that's the one you want. So go on in there. $1, maybe $2, $3 would be awesome.
Trying to see and make sure we're live here. I'm not seeing us. Did you see us up there anywhere?
I just refreshed the page to see if...
Make sure we're live here.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. It didn't look like I couldn't find it anywhere on the YouTube channel that was saying it was live. But we're going to go ahead and jump into our books this week. You want to start us off with we want to go with the Blaster Stash, Joe? What do you want to do?
Oh, I don't know. Let me see what we can find out here. Figure out how to make this thing be quiet.
Be quiet.
Here we go. Okay. Let's go ahead and blast something. We like blasting things. At least I do, anyways.
Mm-hmm.
Where's that stupid book at?
Uh-oh.
Stupid letdown of the week. Oh, yeah, here it is. Okay. So, Gotham City Monsters. This turned into garbage real quick. I was on board with this. I like the villain. I like our new team. Everything was rolling along. And then all of a sudden there's this weird ritual out of nowhere that needs to happen. Why? And then, no, this ritual got to be done, but it's going to be done in like several steps. Why? Because comic books, and you need to keep the issue going. So that needs to happen randomly. And then apparently in the next issue, mind you, who's on the cover, we're going to have Batwoman in it. Why? Because she's a monster. Maybe. I don't know. And I'm probably not going to find out because I'm going to go ahead and blast this book right now. I don't know what happened. Something happened. Here we are in issue 3, and like it just took a nosedive. The dialogue's all off and awkward. It's too busy trying to make fun of itself by calling out obvious things, going very postmodernism that way. And it just kind of losed me in the story. The pacing's all off. Like 1 minute it's fast, next minute it's slow for no reason. And I don't know if I got bored with the book or if it's just bad writing. Either way, I'm done with this book. I'm blasting it. Finito.
Real quick, too, in the chat, if you've read any of these books, give us your opinion on it. What did you think of them, either as we're going through it or after the fact? Let us know in the chat or in the comments below if you're catching us on the rewind. So my first book of the week is a blast for me, too, and it's unfortunate because it has to do with one of the legends of Marvel Comics, Jack Kirby. And so what this is a story about Jack Kirby. It's called Kirby Says, Ask Not the Price, because it's $6 for this book. It says, for real. So what this story is basically is Jack Kirby's going to a doctor's appointment with his wife, Roz. He's getting an MRI, and he has this flashback to the time when he was in World War II, and him and some of his platoon are in this building, and they're trying to hide from the Germans, and they hide in these kilns, and so it's kind of a claustrophobic feel for him. So that's why he's getting a flashback from the MRI to hiding in these kilns. And that's what and some more action and stuff, blowing stuff up. And then it goes back to him going back home and sitting at his writing table, looking, and the last panel is a phone. Maybe he's waiting for a call for a job. I don't know. I don't understand it. And they have some pretty cool stuff with some history of Jack Kirby in here as well. Like one of his older covers. Where's that page? picture of Kirby when he was in World War II. You know, I want to give this book some respect just because of that, because of Kirby being such a legend. But really, that's what you're getting it for. It's just that, you know, hey, I want to support this guy. Other than that, I thought the book was a blast, especially at $6. When I saw it come over the counter, what, $6? And Rogue City said, "Yeah, you better check the sticker price on that before you complain about it." So that's my blast, my first blast of the week.
Thanks for the heads up, comic book store guy. Let's see, that was DC. Let's move on to something else here. Let's talk about. Let's see. Ooh, yeah. Let's go ahead and get this one out of the way. So, Fallen Angels, number 1. Volume, God knows what at this point. I went with this beautiful ratio variant. It has Psylocke on the front with the. I always said it looks like a butterfly. Speaking of butterflies, butterfly seems to be a thing in here. All right, so this is what happens when white people try to use Eastern philosophy and try to make sense of it. It comes off hinky and weird, and it did in this book. This whole, the caterpillar is ugly, but I will make you butterfly.
Yeah.
Garbage. Oh my God. I was like, are you serious? Just stop. It was so bad. But I did get the point in it, right? They're kind of playing off this whole yin and yang thing, right? You know, that, you know, even being a murderer psychopath, there is still beauty in it, just like there is beauty in creationism and all that, right? I okay, got it. And to some degree that would be, I guess, right. Not that I'm out trying to do that stuff, but it just came off so weird in this. Like, I'm reading it, I'm just like, I'm not getting it. Like, I'm not seeing the connection with what they're saying and what's going on in the panels. It just didn't click for me, and it just came off pretentious and weird. So yeah, X-23 just seemed like, all right. So at one point, if you haven't read the book yet, spoiler, it's a review. Right. At one point, Psylocke's like putting together a team of her fallen angels, and she's got like X-23, and she's got Cable, and she decides to take X-23 on the secret covert mission because Cable's been through too much. I was like, that doesn't even make sense. Like, this is stupid. Like, I was just done with this. Will I pick up issue number 2, I guess, is ultimately the question. I'm going to go ahead and lock that one down on a no, which would make this book a blast for me. It could have been cool. There was a lot of cool stuff that could have happened, but they just focused way too much on this weirdness that just made no sense. Maybe I'm missing something. Please comment down below and let me know. I don't want to not like this book. I wanted to like it, but I was just like, it's just not there. I don't know. It's like watching a JV game versus, you know, the Redskins. Yeah, the Redskins are going to lose, but the JV game's just not that interesting.
The only part that I liked about this is when she was asking Magneto, I want to leave the island. It says, sorry, no, not going to do it. And she's kind of begging and pleading with him a little bit. And he goes, well, you may not leave the island. You should go east from here, and you'll find Sinister. Tell him about your visions. And so he essentially telling her to break the rules, but not break the rules. And kind of a cool scene with Sinister there. But other than that, I was not happy with the book. Definitely not my pick. Still, I think it's X-Force and X-Men, the 2 titles out of this new Powers of X and everything that they're going to be my main titles I'm holding up with. But I'm not picking up Fallen Angels number 2 for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Double S enter the room. He wants to say, what up, Joey, and everyone in the chat. What's going on, Double S? It's good to have you in the room. We got roughly 6 people watching right now. I may be one of them. So
I might be too. You know. So we haven't stashed a book yet, and I don't think I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna blast another book, and that is Unsacred. This is by Mirka Andolfo, which she did Unnaturals. I think she's a French or Italian. I think she's Italian writer and artist, and I really wanted to like this book. I really like this cover. It's almost borderline. It's a good inked sketch cover. Really like that cover. I got cover A, and I don't know if it's cover A. This one too. This is not my book at all, for 100% sure. So Damien and Angela, they meet when they're kids, when their moms bumped into the carts at the store, and they're arguing back and forth because one's from hell, one's from heaven, and they're kind of kids, and they're like, oh, we'll always be friends. And then later on, they hook up. He's in a rock band. She's with this group of girls. All he wants is sex, and she wants to wait till she's married. And there's a whole bunch of innuendos and stuff that just not interest me. Now, maybe like a 16-year-old girl might be interested in this book just because of the topic of it. Like this one scene where she's sleepwalking, and he's like in the apartment. He's like, "Whoa, I shouldn't wake her up," and she like sits down on him. He's like, "Oh my god, here we go, here we go."
Yeah, okay.
But she's thinking in her mind, she's thinking she's on the toilet. It's just stuff like that. And nah, I said I really wanted to like this book. I wanted to support her, but I think I'm blasting this book. Which cover did you like? Did you like this cover, or was it the inked cover? My caffeinated
comics. Yeah. I saw some of those panels in the back. They were previews in other indie comic books that I was reading, and I've seen that one you were talking about where she's sleepwalking, and there's another one where he's trying to figure out what to get her for Valentine's Day or something like that.
Yeah, he ended up getting her a. They say, "Oh, why is it so big?" And it's just like that. It's vibrating, and then you find out it's like a controller for a Wii or something. They're playing Wii. This sexual innuendos, double entendres, stuff like that. But,
good word. Going back to the chat, we got Caffeinated Comics. He says, "Howdy do." He also liked the cover, obviously. And Double S says, thankfully, he didn't pick up Fallen Angels #1. The cover looked too anime for him. That one, I know which cover you're talking about. Yeah, it was kind of
the cover A.
Yeah, I'm not an anime guy myself. It's not my thing.
That one there.
All right. Let's see here. We did a Marvel. We did a DC. What else? And I can't blast any of my indies. All my indies were good this week. It was remarkably good. But we'll go ahead and talk about Black Hammer and Justice League. Man, what a way to button up a story. I thought they did a really good job on that. In this, right, a decision has to be made, and of course, there's always a twist whenever dealing with Mixiplex. Am I saying that? I always wonder if I'm saying that right. Mixiplex?
Mixoplex? Oh, no, I can't even say it either.
Yeah, right? Okay, well, regardless. So if you don't know, he's the fifth dimensional one that kind of made this whole thing happen. And we get some great scenes of the Black Hammer characters and what am I thinking of? Justice League territory and vice versa. And they meet up, they fight. A lot of good stuff in here. I don't know much about the Black Hammer characters now. I kind of wish I did, but now I feel if I go back on it, it's just going to ruin it for me. So I'm just kind of enjoying this for what it is right now. So ultimately, a sacrifice has to be made. The people from the Black Hammer universe have to, well, especially this little girl right here, who's actually just a middle-aged white alcoholic female, has to be the one to say, yes, I'll go back, because that was the whole point of the trickery. And then we find out Mixiplex actually just wanted to get or delay to get some time to invade Colonel Weird's like pocket dimensional thing. They did this whole thing with dimensions in it. I really kind of dug it. I'm really normally not my style, but they really kind of broke it down in here, and I really enjoyed that. So, I mean, for 5 issues, it's an easy read. You don't have to overthink it in anything. It's great. There's little moral stories throughout it, giving up for the greater good and that kind of thing. Plus, I mean, that cover, come on, right? That was just good cover.
Is that a Dodson cover? Looks like a Dodson cover.
This is by so yeah, it's I really should start maybe writing down the artist and the writers or some of this stuff, but I don't want to be jaded by any of them, so I just kind of. So definitely a hard stat for me.
My first stash of the week is actually my pick of the week, and it's one that I'm super glad I picked up, and I'm going to continue to pick up. I'll just say that right off the bat, and that is Folklord's number one. I think it's by Boom Studios, Boom or Aftershock. I forgot. Boom Studios. So in this book, it's like medieval times. It's like, but yet there's this one kid who dresses like he's in modern times. He has these visions of the future or a different world. So he wears like a suit and tie when everybody else are wearing tunics and all that kind of stuff. And they're like, "You're weird, dude. What are you wearing that for?" In his room, he has clocks. He has stuff from the future that he's made. And at 18 or whatever the age they are, they're supposed to pick a quest to go on. And he's having a party the night before. He's supposed to pick his quest. And he says, "I want to find the Folklords." And like, whoa, wait a minute. You better not say that. You're going to get shunned, essentially. So you better not say that. He's like, "I don't care. I'm going to say it anyhow." And he gets up and getting ready to announce what his quest is. But his friend speaks out and says, "I'm going to go see the Folklord." All of a sudden, the librarians come in. That's a forbidden word. You're not allowed to do this. You can't talk about that. Here, we're handing out quests now. Nobody gets to choose what their quest is anymore. Very Orwellian kind of feel from it. Of course, I just listened to the book 1984, so that's where I got some of that. Very like forbidden words and words scrubbed from society, and we're handing out jobs. You're not allowed to pick your own kind of work. You're handed jobs. But him and his buddy decide, you know what, we're going to go on our quest anyhow. We don't care what they say. We're going to buck the system and head on a quest. And I'm going to say, heck yeah, I'm ready for quest number 2 on this. Issue number 2. This is my stash of the week. This is awesome. I loved it.
So Double S jumps in. He says you can pronounce the name like this. Miss Yes Plick.
Mr. Mixelplick? I think it's Mr.
Yes,
Mixelplick.
Yes, Plick. Mr. Plick. Close enough. So, yeah, I have to agree. By the way, go ahead and drool over that one per store variant right there.
You get that at cover price too?
I got this at he charged me $8 for it.
I would have bought that for $8.
Oh yeah. Somebody else got it on another YouTube show for like $35.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm loving this story. And finally it kind of made like the fantasy story, it made it realistic to me because it's an authoritative society. Like you said, Orwellian, right? It's an authoritative society. There's a ruling something or other. King, religion, and this one they decided to pick librarians. My dog is sorry. So they kind of have this society where it's kind of structured, and of course there's elves and orcs. I really like the orc that's the boatman. He's blind, and you need to give him something to take you across. That's an obvious reference. I really liked that. He's really big on pies, apparently. They got it's a clique of kids, and they're just typical teenage kids, right? They're talking about, they're going to change the world. They got their quest they're going to go on. Like, it's all dope, right? And everybody kind of picks a quest. It's just kind of, whatever. And, yeah, his friend, not really knowing what quest to pick, just kind of steals his friend's. He's like, yeah, I'm going to take yours. I like this whole he's getting these visions from our world. Let's just go ahead and say that. And, I like the title and the way that kind of played into it. I went into this book not knowing anything about it. And really, I just saw it on the list. I had a few extra bucks in my comic book budget. And I was like, I'll give it a read. What's the worst thing I can do? I can blast or stash it. And now here I am like, oh, God, I got another series I got to follow all the way through. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I want to know more about the librarians in this, especially the one that let them escape. Because there's no way he's that stupid, right? I want to know more about why they're called librarians and what their tie-in is into our world, because that's an obvious thing. So, yeah, unfortunately, I can kind of see where this could go south very quickly, too, and it could just be bad, like just lame and shortcutty. But I'm hoping they don't do that. I hope this kind of turns out to be like a Middle West type storytelling. I think that would be just awesome. So, yeah, this is definitely a stash for me and a follow as well. When it comes out, I'll be picking it up.
Yeah, you're talking about the blind boatman, that the troll guy, and that toward the end when he's finally taken across the river to go to that final quest, and he says, "And Charles, if they ask, you never saw me," and he just says, "True,"
True.
because he's blind. He's taking it literally, rather than figuratively. Yeah, man, what a great book! I had to get the cover, this cover here. I wasn't able to get that one per store. I got that one. It's just kind of a cool troll looking cover.
Yeah, the troll look. That's nice. He didn't have that one when I went in there.
Okay, you're up with your next book. We just talked about that.
Let's see here. I've been talking about Reaver every time I pick one of these things up, and there's a reason for that. This is a good story. First off, kudos to the writer, Justin Jordan. I think that's who that wrote this. So yeah, this cat knows how to write a story. And I remember in the last time I did a review on this, I was like, it would be really cool if they threw in just like the smallest little twists in there, just to kind of keep us guessing. And then, bam, issue 5 comes out and we get our twist, right? We find out that the wizard's not really the wizard. It's his bodyguard person that never talks, and apparently she has to use other people for the means of talking, like a puppet. So that was really cool. Our double cross was a genuine double cross, which was awesome. But what really made this book awesome is the berserker in it. This hulking man beast just crashing through everything and legitimately just laughing off arrows being shot at him. And then he gives this motivational speech, and I loved it. It was like, if you go out that way, you're going to die. If you go that way, they're going to shoot arrows at you and you might die. I'm going to go this way. Come on. That's pretty much everybody's scared of him anyway. Even the little wildling chick, she's like, now he's going to give motivational speech. Yes. It was just great reading. A couple of times, like, I don't like really laugh out loud, but in this one I did kind of a couple of times. I was like, and my wife's like, "What are you really laughing at a comic book? What are you, 12?" I was like, I'm enjoying this. This is good reading. There's a lot of action in it. The art could be cleaned up a little bit in it, but I'm okay with that because I read comic books. I don't stare at the pages. So I can look past that. But I'm going to tell you, this is just, if you haven't picked this up yet and you can't find any of the copies, go get it in trade paperback, because this is just a good story. I may end up getting it in trade paperback just so I can have a continuation of the story. I'm really enjoying this. Good stuff. Reaver number 5. Stash it. Double S says, across the river, Huey, or is it like Chris Farley would say, I live in a van down by the river. Oh, from Saturday Night Live, the motivational speaker guy.
Up there just a little bit. I may have to go back and check, because I did enjoy Reaver number 1, but it was kind of on the fence for me, and I never had picked up any. I might have to go down and see if one store has any like 2, 3, probably 4, maybe in his 50-cent bin. Might have to go pick those up.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you, everybody talks about options, and I've been looking at a lot of things that have been options lately, and I'm like, really, Bunker got option. That was kind of a boring book. Like, what are they going to do with that?
Bunker. I don't remember that book.
And then you got this great Reaver story out there. Who knows? It should be picked up because it's basically a script and it's beautifully written.
Okay, I want to talk about a DC book, Dollhouse Family. This is part of the Joe Hill presents Hill House Comics. So this is the same offshoot that Basket Full of Heads was. There's a couple more titles coming out. This wasn't written by Joe Hill. This is written by M.R. Carey. So this whole story is this family that's given this dollhouse that had been in their family for generations. And this little girl starts playing with it, and she's kind of talking with this. There's 2 kids, a man and a woman, that they're living in this little dollhouse, little dolls, and she starts actually having conversations with these things. You think like she's just playing at first, playing dolls, and then it goes into the husband and wife, her parents. The dad is just a total douchebag, and he's constantly yelling at his wife. He ends up starting to get physically abusive with his wife. Hey, if you didn't talk to me, I wouldn't have to hit you, blah, blah, blah. Well, this little girl finds out that she could say these magic words, almost like Beetlejuice, and she could shrink down and be with these people that are in this house and communicate and play with the kids and be part of their world. And then they started talking about the dark room, and the lady that lives, the little lady that lives in the dollhouse, says, "Oh, I shouldn't have mentioned that. Sorry, I shouldn't have said that." And of course, it gets the girl's curiosity up, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And she's trying to figure out maybe that's where her daddy needs to go in the dark house, because this little doll woman's saying, "Hey, either your mom's going to die if you don't do anything. You know, do you want your mom to die?" And so that's this whole story. This guy's being physically abusive. This girl's befriending these little people in a dollhouse. And at the end of the book, it implies that she smacks her dad in the head with a hammer to take him to the dark room, maybe.
Nice.
But it was good. You kind of expected it, think dollhouse, okay, it's little people. She's going to start interacting with these people. They're going to be alive, essentially. But it was pretty good. And they had the second part, which I did not read. I know you enjoyed it, was Sea Dogs. That was in the back of, so they continue on with that story a little bit here too, just a couple pages. But I unfortunately did not read it because I didn't read the first part of Sea Dogs. So
yeah, I'm going to have to wait for that to come out, because I couldn't get Dollhouse and the first panels, if you will, of Sea Dogs. It's that Revolutionary War buff in me. I really like those stories, especially when they kind of play off of them. So I'm kind of hopefully it comes out as a book, much like your Dirty Angel and Devil book.
Oh yeah,
it kind of did the same thing for that.
Yeah. There's also another character. They kind of go back in time about these people that are kind of explorers, and this guy's exploring a cave and falls into a pit and has sex with a spirit thing.
Oh, wow.
We don't know how that past timeline fits in with what's current here. I'm sure they're going to have that reveal a book or two in, so you kind of understand how those play together. But overall, this is a good horror story. It's decent. I'll pick up issue 2 on it. So far, these ones, these Hull House comics, they've been pretty decent for horror books for sure.
Yeah.
So it's a stash for me.
I like a good scary story. All right. Let's big spoiler alert. Big spoiler alert. So there it is. Event Leviathan. We find out who Leviathan is. Well, this version of Leviathan. You know who it is? It's Mark Shaw.
Mark
Done spoiled it for you. There you go. If you're sitting there scratching your head and you're like, I don't know who that is. Well, back in the mid-1970s, the 5th version of Manhunter came out, and it was Mark Shaw. There you go. There's the big, most ambiguous character that I forgot about in comic book history. Cheers, DC. You got $5 from me.
So that's why that 5th appearance of the 5th Manhunter, like on Key Issue Comics, that's popped into the like watch list.
Yes,
because of that book. Okay.
So it kind of makes sense, because if you don't know, like they were talking about in the comic book that it's Manhunter technology. If you don't know who the Manhunters is, the Manhunters are kind of like the Green Lantern Corps, only they're older than the Green Lantern Corps, right? They're like a policing agency of some sort. Mark Shaw apparently wants to break away from secrets. Like, he's got this thing about secrets, and he's tired of secrets. Now, something did cool happen in this comic book, and I was really cool to see it. It really kind of opens up the story for us of where they're taking this. We also get Jim Harper making an appearance in here. If you don't know who he is, he's the Guardian, and he's there with his shield and everything else. I was like, okay, so they're taking the lower level superhero crime fighter types, and they're kind of going to throw them into this Leviathan organization to kind of, they're the new Doom, if you will. So, all right, cool. Really cool stuff. But really, you got to beef up your line there a little bit. Not to be weird about this, but there's a reason why nobody goes into a strip club at noon. Nobody wants to see the C-listers, right?
Okay, the top dancers aren't on then.
What's that?
The top down dancers are not out then.
Right. That's when they got the taco buffet out. I'm not talking about the dancers, right? So it's horrible, right? So yeah, you might want to beef that up a little bit. And the art in this was just weird to me. And also, I'm still trying to figure out why Lois Lane is still part of the story. Like all she does is like, wait, that's the story. No, this is the story. This Superman's not giving you a story. He was just telling her what happened. Shut the hell up and listen to the story. Just write the story yourself. Like, just be quiet. Jesus. So yeah, there was a cool moment in here where Leviathan or Mark Shaw was sitting there talking to Superman, and you could see, or you couldn't see, but you could read, and if you interpret a little bit, I guess, there was a lot of respect there. Like he's really let down that Superman wasn't like, yeah, I want to be on your side. Like he's genuinely upset about this. And I thought that was interesting because that just shows respect. And that's ultimately where great villains come from, right? They were either friends, family members, or there's some sort of connected device there where they agreed at one time. So now we got this great breakaway. So let's see where that takes us. Fine. I'm kind of down with that. I also want to know who else is in Leviathan. I'll read some of the stories, but if the spin-offs get crazy, like X-Men, I'm sorry, you're just not bringing enough meat on the bone for me to bite into. So I'm 50-50 on this one. I want to say I want to blast it. I really do. But at no point should I have expected that it was going to be some big dun 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 moment. I should have never expected that to begin with because comic books always need to bring characters back. So shame on me. Let's see what happens next to see if we can still keep a somewhat good detective story, if not just total annihilation story. That would be great. Moving to the chat real quick before you move on. Gore's in the room. Gore's always like the nicest guy on my channel whenever he makes comments. He's great. He's recommended a few things for me to read. I'll definitely be looking them up. He says, I don't know. Marca Afrado had a new book out. Thanks for the tip, Huey. Just ordered. Okay. He ordered some stuff. Oh, yeah. The book you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Sacred.
Yeah. Caffeinated Comics, current DC is running Lois Lane worse than Clark and Jonathan, even. I would agree. Let's see here. That's crap. Proceeded expecting, but I get it. Yeah, I can get it. Superman having an affair with Wonder Woman. That's a story for Lois Lane. Right? I would read that. Not like an adult version of it, but like just social media kind of expecting that kind of thing. That would be awesome. I would probably read that too. So good stuff. But for right now, I haven't made up my mind on it for Event Leviathan. I'm kind of still on the fence. I want to blast it, but I don't know if it's bad enough for me to blast it, if that makes any sense. Like I have standards.
That's not the last issue of that arc or run.
I'm going to say it's the last one. That's when they're going to launch back up. They really don't have much of a choice but to, yeah.
So, I don't know. Event Leviathan seemed like it's very overshadowed by You're the Villain, or You're the Villain is not even that really big of a deal for DC, I don't think.
DC's having problems. Like, okay, every comic book company has problems. Marvel ran through the same thing. You know, they're just having a hard time telling stories and getting artists to kind of click together. You can see it in the pacing in all these stories. Like you could tell that the characters are being rushed, but you got this lazy art that's kind of happening. It doesn't really express the emotion very well. So, you know, just like anybody else, they're going through a transformation right now. I think ultimately what everybody's trying to do is they're just trying to finish up comic books as a holdable medium. And you know, everybody wants to go digital, of course. But I don't know. I don't know if they're doing it right.
So thinking about kind of hard art, I'm going to talk about Batman Grave #2. Now,
thank you, because I thought maybe I may have been blasting too many books. So I'm glad you brought that one up.
So, you know, the first one was intriguing enough. You know, Batman's in that apartment. He tears at the floorboard. He finds a body. Well, apparently that body wasn't dead, and he jumped out of the freaking floor to attack Batman. He was what I think you described him as like Gallagher. Is that what you said earlier in your show?
He looked like a cross between Gallagher and what was that? Carrot Top. Like it's like Gallagher.
That's the dude. So he bails out of the hole of the floor, and these panels are freaking chaotic. I can't. I understand they're fighting. I understand they're flipping around the room, but it's not really relayed. I don't think to me. I'm just like, dude, I don't really understand what's going on. This dude's getting the best of Batman, so apparently he must have some training. But here's like Batman flipping around upside down, and it was just like, what the hell? Like I said, I get it. They're fighting. But it didn't display that. Batman doing an upside down kick to the guy's face. I don't know. I just see Batman as a straight up brawler. Just dukes. Put your dukes up, man. And then they capture him, and he's talking to he talks to Alfred for a little bit there in the Batcave. Freaking another story.
A lot. Talk to him a lot in the Batcave.
yeah, just about drinking and stuff like that. And then he gets called in by Commissioner Gordon, and they're talking about somebody else who was a district attorney that got arrested or something like that. Bobby Turton, he goes to, is a corrupt assistant DA, blackmails his way out of charges, blah, blah, blah. So he must have worked for the Hillary campaign sometime. Oops. I'm still here. Trust me. I haven't been murdered. Although I'm sure they're watching me now.
By the way, Epstein didn't kill himself.
So they're talking about this assistant DA going to California. They're trying to figure it out. But here, Batman still doesn't want people to die. He doesn't want to send them to Arkham to get killed. People don't need that. I don't know. The first one was intriguing. This one's kind of like losing me a little bit, unfortunately. So I think I'm going to blast this book just because of the sharp tooth dude that comes out of the floor.
Yeah, what was this? What? Who's already? I don't even want to know. Anyway, so yeah, what is this thing doing? Like all of a sudden, like right, Bozo the Clown's got kung fu skills. Okay, fine. Batman gets all butthurt because some cop's gonna draw down on him when he rolls up in a car like he owns him down, right? Okay, fine. At some point, I gotta stop saying, okay, fine, comic books, right? At some point, you're just playing off of ridiculous tropes and you stop telling a story. You had my 100% check to great book on issue 1 because it was great. Passionate. You read it. It really sunk in. And then this happens. This happens. Halfway through this book, I'm like, I don't care. Like you had a great story to begin with. Why was that so short? You could have really played that one out and made it super creepy and weird. And instead, you gave me, yep. Jim Gordon's going to go talk to the young rookie cop that was going to draw down on a criminal anyway. Like, Batman's a criminal. He knows he is. Like, that's the whole Dark Knight thing. So, yeah. Screw you, DC. Real quick, head over to the chat. Oh, wow. Everybody's popping up now. Let's see if we made anybody mad. Okay. Let's see here. Caffeinated Comics says a lot of comics have been overdoing it with the dialogue. Better ratio with action needs to happen. I agree. As long as it's not too much narration. Dialogue, I don't mind, but when narration's there, disguised as dialogue, I have a problem with that because now you're just insulting the reader at that point. Caffeinated says, ha, got him. I'm sure that's about the Epstein thing. Okay.
Maybe it was.
Maybe most of DC writers are having writer's block and giving us this Year of the Villain series as a distraction until they put their thoughts together. I could go with that, especially if they do like a room environment. Yeah. Idea room, like they did in Mad Men. Let's see here. Comic books. Till they pull their G5 crap. That's coming next year. I hope that's not it. Gore says, which Manhunter? Archie Goodwin, Walt Simpson did a Manhunter backup in Detective Comics in the 70s, which is excellent. Jack Kirby did another version, which I haven't read. We're talking about the one you haven't read by Jack Kirby. It was a self-related title or self-titled Manhunter, him being the 5th one. I know it was Jack Kirby's work. If you look at the cover, it has a manhunter and like a tiger for some random reason. So yeah, that happened.
Well, you're up with that since I brought that Batman grave up.
Oh, it seems like I've been talking a lot. Okay, let's go ahead and get this out of the way because this could go either way, folks. This is my I'm not really sure what we're going to do with this one. Morbius is back, right? Morbius is a great character. I know he gets a lot of slack for his disco outfit, but he's actually a pretty cool character, and he's a great concept, man tormented by the beast side of him and the hellacious things that he has to do just to survive. So he chooses to do it to bad people. That's kind of what we're sticking with in this frame. And I've always kind of liked those kind of stories, man, kind of beating up on himself. In this one, he's going in and he's beating up some guys that are making a drug of some sort. And he's going to go ahead and take care of business. And there's some chemicals that they're using that he can chemistry with, right? Let's just keep this simple. And it's supposed to help him, but at the end, it turns out it looks like it makes him worse. And then we get a Van Helsing style Chica who's going to take care of business. And I'll be honest, it's good to see a pretty girl in comic books, especially Marvel. It seems like a lot of them have been kind of lately. So that was really interesting. So basically all this story is just a classic setup just to kind of familiarize you with the character real quick and let you know that there is existentialism that's going on to some degree with his own internal problems. And then he's got an external threat as well. Probably somebody good nature trying to hunt him down to get rid of him because, of course, he's a vampire and vampires are stereotyped as bad for good reason. But regardless, I'm really liking this. I think this is going to go good places. I just saw somebody's comment. Caffeinated Comics. Let's see here. Nightwing's disco outfit is still great too. You know what? It almost looks like they kind of stole his flavor, doesn't it? Like, what is that? I don't know. So yeah, definitely a stash for me for right now. But if this gets weird, and I hate to say that, it seems like I'm saying that a lot these days. This can go either way because always the first issue they give you a classic setup, and then like second issue comes around and it's like, oh, that's where you decide to go. Good job.
Yeah, I figured that you would like this because he's quoting Aristotle. He's yeah, it's like this is right at Joe's wheelhouse.
Yeah, he quotes and does a very good job and quotes them correctly for the right reason. Like, it's one thing to quote people, it's another thing to put it in the right scenario. And I thought that was very ingenious by the writer, no doubt. I'm on board with that. All right, so the philosophy, and this is where philosophy is, does kind of make it relevant. By quoting his philosophy, we learn more about him, right? If these are quotes that mean something to him that he can regurgitate without too much thought, kind of gives us more insight about the character, more than it does just the quotes that he's saying. We're actually getting a piece of his philosophy and his way of thinking, which is great. Thank you, because now we don't have to go through page and page and page of mental narration or just too much narration. We get a cool quote that you can look up and maybe find some other interest. And I like it when writers do that. And I wish more would. Right? That would be cool.
Yeah, this has the typical trope of he makes the potion or the chemical that helps him. Like the hunger subsides, but then it comes back even more with more aggressive. We've seen that in how many movies, how many comics, everything like that. It's typical, but it wasn't too bad. I did like the whole. There was quite a bit of action in there too, and you don't see him for a good while either. Also, you just see people disappearing in blood and everything else. But I think he said he didn't kill anybody though, did he? I think that's what he said. Nobody
didn't kill anybody. He was just there to stop them and get the drugs.
Yep. So yeah, and we don't know who this character is. Does it say her name? What her name is?
I just said a Van Helsing style character. That's happened in a Morbius run before, so I assume.
Yeah, I don't know who that character is, but yeah, it wasn't too bad. I'm not a big Morbius fan. I don't know a whole lot about him, but I definitely pick up issue 2 just to kind of see where it is going, to see if it's going to get better. I have never read anything by this particular author, so hopefully they can continue on with doing it as good as they did here. You know, it wasn't. They had a little bit of the like monologuing, but it wasn't horrible. It was good. It was decent.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Garth Ennis again on Punisher. So this is Punisher Soviet. Typical Punisher book. You got a lot of violence, you got a lot of dead people, you got a lot of gore, and you got Punisher trying to wipe out the Russian mob. What more could you ask for with a Punisher book? But we have somebody that's killing Punisher or in a Punisher style, but he's like, that's not me. I'm not essentially that sloppy. I don't do it that way. But a lot of people think it is the Punisher.
Actually, he didn't call him sloppy. He actually gave the guy a lot of credit for an AK-47. He was like, guys knows what he's doing. Not to correct you, but to
no. I thought he was saying he was sloppy. Like I don't think he used like AK-47 or stuff like that. I did love this whole scene where they're chasing him down in the van, and they think they've got him surrounded. He goes down a little hole and is loaded with like 7 pounds of C4, and boom, blows it up as soon as the people get close, and he ended up getting a hostage. Punisher's talking about. I don't think he said he'd hurt his family. I don't think Punisher's that type of guy. He never goes after the people's family or kids or wives. But he's kind of using that against that one guy a little bit. Do you think he does? Has he ever gone after their family?
I think Punisher is going to do whatever he's got to do to get what he wants.
But this is good. We find out. Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not going to go back and look at it. Just correct me if I'm wrong. He didn't say he was going to go get the family. He was just going to call the family and torture and kill him while everybody was listening to him do it.
Yes.
Which honestly is kind of a little bit more morbid.
Okay, yeah, that's what it is. He had his son on the phone.
Yeah.
And he says, I'll call back. I'll put it on speaker. Then I'll start cutting. And he says, you're an evil piece of shit. You're worse than this. Matter of opinion.
Yeah.
But that's right. He does say that they do a good job, because we find out there's someone very similar than him. It's a friend of his that had pretty much a lot of the same training, and that's who it is. Now, that's not the same cop he was talking to at the beginning of the book. I kept flipping back and forth trying to see if that was the same.
I swear to God it was. I don't know for sure, but I did the exact same thing. I'm like, it's got to be the old guy from the beginning. And you try to, but in comic books, they never draw things that far apart the exact same. So it was like,
yeah.
I think it's the same guy. Sure.
But yeah, this is Garth Ennis on Punisher. So, and it's a 6-issue miniseries. I'll be picking it up. Anything Garth Ennis, I love. So
yeah, I stopped picking up Punisher series for the longest time because they just kind of got dry to me. Like the action and stuff was there, but the wittiness just wasn't there. It was the same thing over and over again each issue. So that was about the 90s, and I probably stayed out until 2015, something like that. But I never picked up a real Punisher book. I liked them in other stories. Then all of a sudden, Kill Crew happens, and I'm like, oh, okay. I'll start picking up. Why not? It's fantastical fantasy. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And then everybody's like, oh, you should have read the Punisher series that was running last year. And I was like, and part of this year. And I was like, oh, yeah, I missed it. But I'm not going to try to pick it up and pick up every issue. I'm not going to do that. So this book rolls out. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to dedicate at least one issue to it. And I picked it up and I started reading through it. And I immediately fell in love with this hard. Like, I just love every minute of this. I like the fact that somebody knows what type of rounds in an AK-47. Like 7.64, right? That's an AK round. I'm like, oh, I picked that up immediately.
Mhm.
And I even showed my wife, and she was like, I don't care. And I was like, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I got to read it. And I'm reading it, and it's hard to be accurate with an AK. Punisher actually mentioned I've shot AKs before. They're very hard to be accurate with. So you do everything on a 3-round burst. And they mentioned that in the comic book. And I was like, oh my God. It's like somebody does. And then, of course, immediately when somebody gets so many stupid things right, I have to know who's reading it. And then I realized, oh my God, it's Garth Ennis. Okay, I love Garth Ennis too. Great guy. I'm reading through this thing. I'm getting just great pre-planning, pre-prep, the things I would expect from a military guy. They were setting up ambushes and traps. And then at the end, when we find out it's the other guy, I wish we had some sort of connected piece that would tell us who this guy, if it is the guy from the beginning of the book. I'm assuming so. Or if it's some old friend of his, I don't care. This is great. Just great, great, great action. Great snarkiness to it. Great banter. Great writing. Great aha moments that make sense. That just aren't doesn't it make sense? No, it's like, oh my God, that makes sense. It's just great reading for any adult.
So you did not read Garth Ennis's run on, I think it was Punisher Vietnam?
No, I did not.
Yeah, that was a 6-issue miniseries that came out 2017, I think.
No.
Which was pretty good. I mean, Punisher's one of those characters. I mean, his whole history starts in Vietnam, but how they're supposed to update that? So they tried to update it, and he has
You have
works.
to.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, you kind of have to. It makes sense that now he's what is it? Desert. Well, let's see. Let's make this realistic. So right now, if Punisher was alive, he would have to be a Desert Storm veteran in really good shape, right?
Maybe.
And pushing it.
He'd be what, 45, 46?
He'd be right around my age. So actually, no, he wouldn't be Desert Storm. He would be Haiti, Bosnia, Kosovo, Panama, Bosnia, Kosovo, Africa, Iraq, Afghanistan. Like that would be his era right there.
But see, you're talking a lot of stuff that not the general public knows. I mean, for me, I never was military. The ones that stick out for me are Desert Storm. What was it, 92, 93? Desert Storm happened. And the current one. I mean, a lot of, like, you talk about Bosnia. Yeah, I mean, I've heard little glimpses of it, here and there. But I didn't think it was like a true campaign or anything,
I'm just going with him being 45. Right? I'm 43.
Yeah.
Right? My military career started in 1994. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. And that's me, 18 years old, 3 days after graduation, heading off to boot camp. So I'm kind of going with that.
Yeah.
Gore says Garth Ennis last run on Platoon in 2017, which is a follow-up of Born, Frank Castle, Vietnam. Yeah, he was telling me, I might have to just go ahead and break down and just see if I can't find this, because I've heard that before, the Vietnam run. I like Vietnam stories. I'm cool with that. I like World War II stories and World War I stories, Revolutionary, Civil War. I'm a war guy. I'm a war dog. I like war dogs, war stories. So I might have to go back and check those out.
I have most of that Punisher Born series too. I think I'm missing one, but I've read through most of that. Okay, let's move on. Your next book, Joe. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I don't know. Let's talk about something that's going under everybody's radar. And I don't like telling people, oh, you should read, right? Because if I tell somebody they should, no, I'm not. I'm going to blast a book real quick. Hold on.
Okay.
That's how you know the show's live, folks, because we'll change shit up in a heartbeat. Sorry. Year of the Villain. Now, I know we've been giving garbage to some of the Year of the Villain. There has been some pretty good stories in it. Stories, not comic books. I want to be very clear on the two. Unfortunately, this is neither of them. This is garbage. Oh my God. And it's garbage. I've done figured out the formula. If it's a special cover acetate, blah, 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 it's a garbage story. In this one, we find out that Mrs. Freeze, after being frozen for God knows how many years now, she don't need no man. Okay, great. The man who's been working to get you animated again, all of a sudden you don't need him. His undevoted love and dedication in the things he has done to other people. Now, we can probably blame it on the chemicals that are flowing through her right now. But regardless, this is a villain that has no reason to be a villain. And those are the worst villains. There's no motive for them. There's no motive for her to be a villain. Like, none. Nope. She woke up. She was unfrozen, woke up. Yeah, think she should be back to dancing or in some way thankful. I'm hoping they kind of do a spin where it's like, oh, the chemicals are in her or jacking her up and we're going to have to throw her back her ice. And because the next issue, apparently Batman in his G.I. Joe barbecue outfit and Dr. Freeze are going to team up to battle. I don't know what they're trying to do here. I'm trying, and this is why I got to blast this book because it is just, it's so stupidly written. I was going to try to find a nice way to put it. It's just written to be written. That's all the story is. There's nothing behind it whatsoever. And again, I don't want to blame writers for this because I'm sure they're on some sort of deadline and they got to come something up. And, they got bills to pay. Caffeinated Comics says, or just on trash writers. Okay, so regardless, I'm sure it's partially their fault, but I'm sure it's a reason why it's their fault. I don't know what's going on with this. Like, we just threw together a villain. And instead of developing the character, we just gave her some random reason to be a bad guy. And I'm done with this. This is stupid.
That's Detective Comics, right? 1015.
Huh?
That's Detective Comics, what you had right there, right?
Yeah, this is Detective Comics number 1015. I should have said that at the beginning. I'm sorry. But yeah.
No, yeah, you said you're the villain. And I was looking at the cover. I'm like, yeah, it looks like you're the villain.
Yeah, it's you're the villain. It's a tie-in.
Yeah. That's why I was like, oh, I have that book here. I didn't get a chance to read it. Open it up. I'm like, oh, I think it's the same book that he's talking about. Yeah, it's unfortunate because I like Tomasi. His run on Super Sons is great, and he's done some other Robin. I think it's Robin or not Batman. That was Grant Morrison. Maybe it was Robin. But yeah, I like Tomasi stuff. But that's too bad. Guy was really looking forward to him taking over Detective Comics. Okay, let's talk about a new Jeff Lemire book that's called Family Tree by Image Comics. This is number 1 here. So essentially, this story is about this single mom. She has a son. She has a daughter. She's working at Foodland and Lowell. Where did it say that it's in Lowell? I know that, but I don't know what state. She gets in an argument with this old dude because she packed her stuff wrong before and smashed his blueberries, and she's being snarky back at him. Well, I'm sorry about your blueberries, that kind of crap. But we find out that her son's in trouble, so she has to go to the high school to pick up her son, and because he got caught with pot, and we find out that the daughter has some kind of rash on her arm, and her mom's telling her not to scratch it. We find out the rash is getting worse and worse. As this little girl is sitting outside the office while her mom talks to the principal at the high school, this old man approaches her, gives her his bag. She doesn't tell her mom right away. She's just kind of hiding it. And we find out that the rash is getting worse on her arm. Looks like her arm is all shredded up. And she's like, oh, my God. And then she goes, well, this old man gave me this bag. I didn't want to take it. I thought I didn't want to scare you. And we find out that this girl is like turning into a tree. She's got a little tree limb coming out of her butt crack, along with her on her arm. They're running to take her to the hospital.
Well, I think you said the title wrong. Isn't this Farmhand?
It kind of reminded me of like Farmhand a little bit. So as they're trying to run to the hospital to try to get it diagnosed or figured out, they end up getting into a car accident and they're getting surrounded and they're pulling them out, and these people are getting ready to, I don't know if just kidnap them or kill them or what it is, but the old man who gave the girl the bag at the school shows back up with a rifle, is blasting dudes, and to find out that that's her father, mom's father, the kid's grandfather. And that's how this book ends. So we don't know why the girl has this affliction of this turning into a tree, or what this is. But it's it's Jeff Lemire. It's interesting. The art's okay. I don't think it's the best in the world, but I'll definitely pick up issue 2 to see where this is going. So this has been kind of a stash. It's just typical. I said nothing exciting, nothing like folklore for sure, but not bad. Interesting, no doubt. So, family tree. We'll figure maybe the grandpa has a log in his pants or something. We don't know.
That just went south real quick. All right, we doing more comic books?
Yeah. Oh, it's 8:00. It's 8:00 here. It's 11:00 there, right?
Yeah, it's nighttime.
If you want to run through lightning round, we can do lightning round.
We can't run through round until we talk about this.
Okay. Yeah, we gotta talk about X-Men.
Gotta talk about X-Men, right? So yeah, X-Men number 2. I like this. Plus, I was able to get this really cool ratio variant. I like Wolverine.
You keep showing off those ratio variants.
So what do we got going on in here? So there's another island that pops up, and Krakoa is drawn to it. This shouldn't be new to us. We learned about this in House of M, or not House of M, but Powers of X and House of X. We kind of already knew that, and we knew that Apocalypse kind of had something to do with these 2 islands. He's married to them, or there's some connection to them. It doesn't vaguely kind of describes it, but we also find out that he's got a child on this island. I think they called it War. I really like this character. I like the naiveness of it. I like the whole not being able to communicate, but figuring out ways to communicate. I kind of dug that too. That was pretty cool. And the 2 islands were actually one at one point, and now they're back to being one. And I like the stark difference between the 2 islands. There's one that's volcanic, has weird monsters on it and stuff like that. And Krakoa has been kind of evolving life forms on it, but it's more like a tropical paradise. I love Scott Summers in this, and him grabbing his kids and being like, hey, let's go jack some stuff up. Like, let's go to war. That's awesome. Okay, yeah. Cable's being used in this one. Cable makes the mistake of handing this kid a thermite grenade. When they can't explain it.
Yeah.
Something that a child, we'll put it that way, a young child would do as a mistake, right? Like, oh, hey, here's a grenade. Just hold on to it. It's shiny. And, of course, War pushes the button and it explodes on him. And, of course, that pisses him off. A little bit of a battle incurs, so be it. But then we get this kind of weird, villainy, heart-touching moment where Apocalypse is kind of reunited with his child, right? In the most awkward way possible. But for some reason, it just made sense. It was something that could happen. So I really liked that. I really liked this play on this book that they're doing here. Out of all this X-Men stuff that has been popping out thus far, just the main title, I think, is probably the best read yet. The X-Force is okay, and this other stuff that's coming out, I'm just like, I'm not really getting into this, right? It's all based in Krakoa, and it seems like it should be as interesting. But I don't know. A lot of it's just missing the mark, and this story is just hot. And I think it's the writer. Like on this one particular case, it's the writer. It's his writing, it's his voice, and it's being very entertaining, where everybody else is just kind of picking up off of what this other person's doing, and it's just not translating well. So yeah, X-Men 2, hard stash for me. I may be one of those guys, much like a lot of us in the 80s and the 90s have box load of X-Men comic books in the next 10 years if they keep writing like this. This is good stuff.
Yeah, there were a lot of great lines and parts in this. The whole thermite grenade, and he says, "Oh, it's shiny," and he clicks and blows them up, and it. You want to think, did Cable actually mean just to give that to be nice, or was he hoping like the thing would just push the button and blow up? We don't. It never really explained that, but
Yeah.
The other great scenes in it when the islands are approaching each other. The vines are tangling around each other. A brown chicken, brown cow going on. And the girl's like, "Oh man, are the islands? Are they?" And he goes, "Honestly, I don't want to know." And then the next panel is like the Cable's covering his face. He's like, "What was that?" And says, "Well, son, I think that's how all my best mistakes happened."
Yeah.
That was a great
Well,
line.
next to me, but yeah.
I wasn't sure at first. I had to go back and look if it was Cyclops covering Cable's face, as in like, don't look at this, but it was Cable's arm going up there and covering his own face,
Yeah.
But yeah, this is good. This is falling right along with the Powers of X, House of X. Of course, it's Hickman too. So I think he has a strong tie with this book, and I think it's showing through, continuing to show through on the X-Men title.
Yeah, and he's doing this great job of, like, Hickman's legitimately a smart guy. I will give him credit. He's got big brains, right? And he uses it in here, but he uses it in a way where he's not showing off how big brained he is. Like, he's just telling you a great story. It has a lot of meaning behind it, and he's pulling from a lot of mythologies in this particular story run, and I'm really enjoying it. It's really good. So, vivacious reader, first time reader, whatever the case is, you should be enjoying this. If you're not, I don't know what you've been reading other than maybe articles out of Playboy, which nobody ever did. So you're weird.
No, I remember one article from Playboy, but that was definitely better than issue 1. I thought of that X-Men. I was X-Men #1 was very much just all about the family, talking about the Summers family and stuff like that, the dynamics there, where this one seemed to have a little more action and a little more backstory too of it. It reminds me of a little late 80s, early 90s Mark Waid on Flash. Oh, that your timer saying it's time to do lightning round?
No, you weren't supposed to hear that.
Okay, let's go to lightning round. I'll talk about the book first. Black Stars Above by Vault Comics #1. A little confused by this book. It was really weird. Totally pass. A blast on that one. Elvira, Mists of the Dark. I get the photo covers for only 2 reasons. I say that every single time I show
Left and right.
Yeah. I got the Tomb of Dracula, #10, the facsimile, first Blade appearance. I got that one. Didn't get
that original comic book.
Do you have that original one?
Yeah.
That's blowing up. That's kind of a hot book. RV8 by Mad Cave. I didn't get a chance to read that one. And Guardians of the Galaxy #11. I didn't get to read that one either.
It's a good story. You should read that.
I'll have to read that.
Okay, lightning round. It's never lightning round with me, right? I just kind of do my own thing anyway. It's like my show all over again. Here we go. Joe #268. This is part of that, what is it? Snake Hunt story where they capture Snake Eyes. This thing is so action-packed. The pacing in this is I read this book 3 times and was literally done in a few minutes. And every panel has dialogue in it. Just straight dialogue. And it is so good. You got dog fights in here. You got an escape attempt. We're constantly reminded in this that Snake Eyes in this is not the original Snake Eyes. It's this guy named Shane. But they do it in this really clever way where they're not beating you over the head that it's somebody different. I really like this writer and the way he writes dialogue. It's pretty slick. I enjoyed this. And even somebody that fell out of G.I. Joe a long time ago, reading this arc right now, the Snake on it's super easy to fall back into it and know who everybody is. And it's pretty good. I enjoyed it. That was the last of my indies.
It's not the female Snake Eyes, because Snake Eyes was a woman for a while too.
Yeah, for a little bit. No, this is another male one. And really, they just need the symbology of Snake Eyes that he still exists. Because apparently that strikes fear into the enemy or whatever the case may be. But it's actually good. I like it. Superman. Break this book down. Everything's a secret. Secret bases, secret people, secret messages, secret boxes, secrets. Nothing else. That's it. I would tell you more, but that's all that is. All right. And last but not least, Guardians of the Galaxy. I really like this. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I like where this left off, and I like Magnus as a kid. Like, he's kind of kick-ass. This is fun. Rocket Raccoon doesn't die in this issue. So
he doesn't? He's still not dead, even though we've been teasing it for the past.
But I'm going to be honest with you. You may want to read this issue before. You definitely want to read this issue before you read the next one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's almost done too. That series.
Yeah, that arc. Yeah, that's almost done. We're right there at the end. Again, I would say it, but you just said you didn't read it, so I was like, I'm going to talk about it. We might have to bring it up again next week.
Real quick, Mandalorian. If you have not been watching that, go freaking check that out. I mean, there are channels all over the place talking about what a great show it is. It's Clint Eastwood in space. I mean, it's a Western in space. You know, he's a bounty hunter. You know, from his first line in that, where he's picking up his first bounty, and the guy's trying to bribe him, saying, "Hey, I can give you more money, more space credits, if you let me be." And his first line is like, "I could bring you in warm, or I could bring you in cold." You know, and that's how I'm like, "Oh my god!" Right there, you know, after that first fight in the cantina, that's this whole badass, and then the twist at the first into the first episode. It's got me hooked. It's got me totally hooked, and I can't wait to watch episode 3. I've already seen the first 2 episodes 3 times, and you know, I'm like, these are freaking good.
I have to ask, because there were some things on social media that a bunch of people got the Disney Plus, and they jumped into the Mandalorian. That was the reason why they did it. And some people were kind of upset that they couldn't binge watch Mandalorian, that they're breaking out the issue or breaking out the episodes. Were you one of those people?
No. Are you talking about as I was hoping to binge watch it like the first weekend and then get rid of the trial? No, I wasn't. That wasn't my plan. I plan on keeping it around for a little bit. My kids love it too. So yeah, I was I watched that first episode. Oh, I want to watch. Oh, I can't watch more. Oh man. But luckily that second episode came out like the next day, I think. And so
I think that's why I'm kind of waiting on it, because if I'm going to watch something, I don't like breaks in my reading. So comic books are a slight nightmare for me, right? Yeah. I always got to go back to the regional issue or whatever. The same thing when I watch shows. Like, I'm a binge watcher. If I'm going to watch a show, usually my binge watching nights are Friday night when I come home from the bar, to after hanging out with Ralphie at the bar until Saturday early in the morning. That's kind of my binge watching time. If I don't have any conferences or anything going on, the weekends I try not to go anywhere because I travel a lot. So I just try to stay home, and most of the time things are just playing in the background while I'm reading something or watching something. So when I found out that it was like, oh, it was broken up, I was like, well, if I'm going to like anything on it, it's obviously going to be, this. So let me pause and just let everything get on there and then jump on.
Yeah. I've been telling my brother, my dad, I was like, dude, if you're not watching this, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with you. But it is such a great, like Drew commented in our chat. He says, it's everything I love about Star Wars and nothing I hate. So
Yeah.
and that's what it is. Even the music when the door opens to the cantina, he steps in, is Western. I mean, you think Western.
There was a show on YouTube, and it's driving me crazy who did it, but they actually broke down, and it was a spoiler, and I watched it. I don't care. The first 2 episodes, and they were like, "Why can't they do this in the Star Wars film?
Mm.
What is the disconnect?" And I was like, "Ooh, that's going to cause a little bit of a fire, right?" And it did. Like the comment sections were just exploded on that, and I was like, "Oh, that's." So I gotta ask, since you watched the first 2 episodes, better than the last Star Wars movie?
Oh, yes. Oh, 100 times better than the last Star Wars movie. Yeah. And, with the main character, the Mandalorian, he doesn't take his helmet off. So, for an actor, their face is what really, reflects, how good of an actor they are. He didn't have a whole lot of dialogue, that's for sure. It's more about actions and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There are some great scenes in there. There's some stuff that I don't know about. I had never have read any of the Star Wars books. I don't know what the history of the Mandalorians. Like I'm not a huge Star Wars geek. I couldn't tell you all the planets that everybody's been to. I couldn't tell you all that in history, Clone Wars, and all that. So there's some stuff in there in that series. I had to go to Wikipedia or whatever to try to figure out what was going on with it. Diarrhea would be better than the last Star Wars movie. So yeah, I'm so looking forward.
Yeah. So again, I think I'm just gonna hold off because I don't normally watch a lot of TV, but when I do watch TV, I generally just binge watch a bunch of stuff at one time. So I'm probably gonna hold off before I actually get those apps. DC app, I want it mostly for the comic book content on there, but I'm assuming the DC Plus doesn't do that for the Marvel. Like, there's no comic book content on there.
No, not like that. I tried the DC app and I tried doing the comic book thing, and I couldn't do it on screen like that. Of course, I was doing it on my TV, not like on my phone. So
Well,
that might be.
I have a 72-incher, so
Oh yeah,
I do. I'm rich. I do what I want.
The other, what was I going to say? I mean, it's been a pretty good app so far. I mean, there's a lot of older Disney movies. I was watching Aladdin, the original one. My daughter's like, "Why are you watching this one? We have the new one, Will Smith." Oh, I said, "Dude, not my genie." Hashtag not my genie. So I had to watch the old Aladdin. But yeah, it's been really freaking good. That's for sure. People talk about Drunk Ralphie doing an episode on Tom King. Do you have another episode of Drunk Ralphie out?
So we just launched. We got the. It's hard to deal with Drunk Ralphie. It's hard. Like you've heard him talk. Like it's hard. So Drunk Ralphie we dropped it today. We did a video on him on Daredevil, which was your recommendation. Thank you for the recommendation, by the way. We appreciate it. We don't know where to go with this, so we're kind of relying on everybody to kind of tell us who's the next person. It's not a regular show. It's when the research is done and we find something, then we get them liquored up and we let them roll on it. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever done in my life. It's fun. So definitely don't get butthurt over it, but definitely contribute. If you want, if there's a hero and you're kind of wondering, all right, what's his issues, definitely check it out. There's been some talk about possibly for villains, and it was like, well, that's kind of easy.
200 notes with stuff.
Right. But maybe some anti-heroes. Maybe we could look at some of those. So we're working on that right now. We made the mistake of showing the video at Norfolk State of the very first Ralphie. And it was a hit. Like everybody loved it. Everybody
really? Wow.
So it was huge. Also, if anybody is watching this right now and they're from Norfolk State or the VIMS conference that just happened here in Virginia, thank you, because I've noticed our numbers of subscribers has
Yeah,
Jumped
definitely
quite a
jumped
bit
up.
over the
Yeah.
last few days.
Yeah. Yep.
Also, I know a lot of you are more than likely from someplace outside of the U.S. So I really appreciate that too, because the purpose of the two conferences was importing and exporting. So thank you very much, especially if you're taking the time to translate this. Like, I know that can't be easy. Thank you. Some of the topics we were talking about were importing and exporting and how to do it through a YouTube consortium type of way. So thank you guys. Obviously, you guys paid attention. I really do appreciate that. Do you want to hit up the chat real quick, or should I?
You can hit up the chat real quick. I just posted that comment by Gore.
All right, so let's see here. Drunk Ralphie doing something on Tom King. Tom King's not a superhero. Let's be honest. He's barely literate. Timing. Let's see here. Apparently, Caffeinated Comics does not like the new Star Wars movie. We're not going to go over that, but he really does like Mandalorian. DC Universe works well on tablets. I'll agree with that. I've been hearing a lot of that as far as comic book content, but not as rare incidents. I want the digital, prefer Comixology. I've heard a lot of people talk about Comixology. Comment down below. Let us know, because I'm still an old school comic buyer, but I'm kind of looking at digital at this point. Is that something? How does that work? Like, let me know down below if you like it or not. Let's see here. Gore Vidal said something, but then he was like, nah, I don't think I want to put that out there. Let's see here. Drunk Ralphie on the Condom King, Joey. The
Condom
King. Yeah. He just did a recent show up in a comic book too with the Joker. That, I don't know, maybe we'll take a look at it. Let's see here. Magnamed just finally showed up. He says, good show as always. Have a good one, guys. Hey, thanks for showing up, my man. And Gord steps back in and says, Huey's comments about Mandalorian remind me of J.G. Buller's opinions about Star Wars, hobbits in space, and other worlds we've seen as rodeo before. I think you're right, but if I can add it, and I haven't seen Mandalorians yet, but I'm going to go ahead and say that it's probably not like a Clint Eastwood, but more like a spaghetti western, because I've noticed in the comic books, they've kind of converted more over to the spaghetti western type of stories. And I think those are very good told stories. And granted, they don't televise very well. They always came off hinky and weird, but I always thought they were very good stories. And I could see Mandalorian kind of playing off that whole spaghetti western. Last but not least, Caffeinated Comics says, as always, prefer physical. For the collectible aspect, I'll agree with that. But when I want to go back and reread, digital is convenient, and I'll go with that too. It's kind of like I work in a professional atmosphere where everybody wears suits and ties. And if I get bored in something, it makes more sense for me to bring up my iPad to make it look like I'm following along on some intern giving a speech, because we let them do that. Than it would be for me to just open up a comic book in front of them and crush their dreams and hopes. So I agree.
I didn't pay attention to me. I've heard other people talk about Mandalorian being Lone Wolf and Cub, or it's a manga book.
Yeah, Wolf and Dove. It was a movie too.
Was it? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Usually we don't go into a lot of talk after the comics, but I had to bring up Mandalorian tonight. I wanted to talk about Walking Dead a little bit, but I think we'll save that for next time. Real quick, if you want to check us out on Patreon, please do. We do give away books each month. We gave away 2 books this last month. One Discovery Bay and Cafe Comics, each one a book, and that was the Greg Horn Black Cat #1 cover. I set those out. They should be hitting them hopefully tomorrow if they haven't received them already. So definitely go check out our Patreon. $1 a month would get you an entry into that contest. And the more people we get in Patreon, either the more books we can give away, or maybe a bigger book. These books usually are running around $15 to $25 to get, and I'm shipping those out. I like to be able to go. Like I was trying to look at the Key Collector Comics app, trying to figure out what books are hot right now. Maybe try to get some of those books and ship them out. And if we got cheaper books, be more of more books maybe in the kitty for it. But go check us out on Patreon, support us over there. Or if you just want to throw us a buck, just because you want to throw us a buck, you can do that too. You can do PayPal if you want to do PayPal. PayPal blastthedash@gmail.com if you want to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to support you guys.
Trust me, we're not getting rich off of this. I'm already rich.
Yeah, he's already rich.
But definitely want to get some comic books out to you guys. Definitely hook it up and check it out.
If you want to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, we're all on those. Recently we're talking about Negan. I posted a quick little video from last week's episode. I'm like, Rick and Negan's back. I love that quote he said in that movie because it reminds me of the comics quite a bit and how Negan acts in there. And I'm looking forward to hopefully him taking a head off of Alpha here pretty soon. So definitely go check us out on all those social medias. And I'll be back here this next Friday talking about the books that are coming out for next week. I'll be looking at those sometime on Friday. I'm not sure
what's
when.
Up? You used to do that on Mondays. What happened?
My schedule changed at work. I had Monday, Tuesdays off. Huh?
You need to tell them you're the boss, and this is how it works.
Let me get a hold of the governor, who is my ultimate boss, and I'll write him a letter, a nastygram, saying, hey.
No, don't do that.
So I'll be back on Friday talking about the books that are coming out next week. And I'm talking about trying to do a rewind show again sometime this month. I'm trying to come up with a topic. Trying to do Thanksgiving, but I don't think there are very many Thanksgiving comic books that are out there or movies.
That one's going to be hard. Or we can just pull the turkeys from this year. The absolute turkeys from this year.
Good. Excited about turkeys. That would be a fun thing to do too. So we are going to bounce out of here. Thanks everybody for showing up. We will catch you guys next Friday and next Sunday. So out of here. Later, guys.
Peace.